Jen here, and welcome to week 4 of the Christmas card lift series that Daisy and I are doing. This is our 3rd year doing it, and I love it so much. This has totally broken me out of my box and out of my shell, I guess you could say, for creating cards, and I'm having so much fun. I'm really enjoying it. So Daisy picked our card this week, and it's absolutely gorgeous and very different, which really excited me. This is a card made by Yana Smakula. We have done a scrap lift of her cards before because she is so crazy talented. She makes absolutely gorgeous cards, and this one was a card made for MFT stamps. So obviously that beautiful stamp of the Christmas lights. Now, instantly, the thing that drew me to this card was the blue. I love doing what I would consider very classic Christmas cards, because I think that with the Christmas lights and the gold and the red and all of that, this really is a classic kind of Christmas motif, but then it's totally different by having that just brilliant blue background and then the black around the edges. So I love that little twist that she put on it, and I was really excited because I have a stamp that is a string of Christmas lights. Yay! So you can see here I'm using 2 different colors of cardstock. These are both basil textured cardstock that I got several years ago in a card kit that I can't remember actually how I came upon this card kit, whether I bought it or I won it or was gifted this card kit. I can't exactly remember. But it's that basil cardstock that just has the polka dot texture to it. And I really love these colors. And so I thought both of them would kind of make fun bases to start this Christmas card with. And then you can see I also have a whole bunch of distress inks that I've pulled out. I have to admit, stamping and having tons and tons of inks, it's just something that I've never really had the budget for, so I make do with what I have, and every once in a while, if I find a good deal or I need a color, I'll go and grab the color that I need. So I did find this a little bit difficult because obviously I just didn't have the colors that were dark enough to do the blending that Yana does on her card. But I think I did okay. I think I managed. So I went ahead and stamped my little stamp in rose, and you can see there that the stamp comes from Stampendous. It's very old. So I stamped them in rose, and then I went ahead and embossed them with some Pirate's Gold, also Stampendous, I think, embossing ink, or embossing powder, sorry. And now I'm just going to play around with the colors that I have. I pulled out all of my sort of darkest blues, or the blues that I thought I might be able to blend on top of this paper. So there's a few varieties in there. Some of them are oxide inks and some of them aren't, and I'm just going to kind of play around a little bit and see what I can come up with. And I'm using a combination of my Tim Holtz ink blenders and also that brush, which I will fully admit is from Dollar Tree, and it's just, I think it might be the Elf. Yeah, I think it comes from Elf or Sassy Chic or whatever that company is. I didn't want to invest in a really good set yet because I'm still not really sure if this is my thing. I don't know. I'm playing around. I'm trying it out. So you can see there I blended just a few different blues. Really only the one blue kind of showed up, but I added a whole bunch of layers to try to get that sort of effect of having the really nice dark black on the outside and then the lighter colors on the inside. And once this dries really well, it actually fades quite a bit. So you'll see at the end, well, and actually even as we progress through this video, you'll see that that black is not quite as intense as it looks here. But part of me wanted to go back and kind of intensify it because I really like that contrast, and I think that the black is kind of a different, almost shocking color, but I'm not really sure if I can blend over top of this glitter glue, so I'm not going to do it. I also experimented with doing this on the flat side and the textured side. So I have one of this sort of tealy green card that is flat and one that is textured, and I did the same thing with the blue. And I like them both equally. They both stamped out really nicely and they both blended really nicely, and so I think you could do it either way as long as you just remember with your stamp to take that time to really press firmly. Don't smush it back and forth, but just press nice and firm to make sure that the Versamark ink gets right down into the crevices of those dots or whatever texture you might be using. So this is the green one, and I also pulled out a whole bunch of different greens that I have. Again, I don't have any of the really dark colors. I guess maybe that's just not something that I've ever needed before, but I also think that probably this cardstock is a little bit darker than what Yana started out with. I think you could do this really, really nicely with white cardstock too, absolutely. I think that that would work good, and then you could just blend whatever colors you wanted and make that background purples or pinks or reds, or go with the blue, the greens, whatever works for you. But I know she started on colored cardstock, so that's what I wanted to do. So I have here, you can see I have the peacock feathers and some cracked pistachio and some, I think it's called winter bow. Is that what it's called? And I found that for the oxides, they went on a lot better with the blender. They just went on a lot darker, a lot more opaque, but really you can see it's not doing a whole lot here, other than this one has the texture on the outside and it is catching in that texture, so that was kind of fun, but it's not really coloring the cardstock at all. You really just have to keep playing with the layers and adding layer upon layer. This one works here. This is the green clover, and you can see it's a different green to the cardstock, and so it really shows up. But again, you got to keep building up those layers, and I think that that's what the blending brushes do really well. You can keep adding and keep adding, so you start really subtle and then you just kind of keep intensifying the color, and the blenders, the sponge blenders, kind of give that more concentrated color right away. So I think you have more control with the brushes, and you can see here how I kind of went back in, went over top and really blended out some of that black. Again, it fades, so when you look at them in the still shots, you'll see that the black is not quite as dark. It's still wet here. My fingers were totally dyed black. And then once all my color was down, I used my cloth and went over that gold embossing powder just to make sure that I polished anything that was sitting on top. It doesn't really stick to the embossing powder, but I didn't want it to stay on top, and so you just polish it up and you have that beautiful gold shining through. And these little squeeze bottles I've had for a while. They just come from Dollar Tree. I was trying to think of what I could use excuse me, what I could use to get the lights to be colored, because Yana has their little cutouts, I think, and so she glues them over top. But obviously I don't have that stamp, so I don't have that. Although I did realize afterwards I technically do have that. I don't know why I didn't think of it, but I have this teeny tiny little light bulb, single light bulb, and I guess I could have actually done exactly the same thing if I wanted to take the time and fussy cut the lights, because that light bulb is not the solid background. It's still just like an open light bulb that needs color, but I could have gone and stamped it onto maybe some glitter paper or some colored cardstock or something else. Even maybe pattern paper would have looked nice. I could have done that and then fussy cut them out. But I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't going to fussy cut out hundreds of these little teeny tiny light bulbs. Well, maybe there's not hundreds, but there's quite a few of them between the 4 cards that I made. So what you saw me just do here is I'm creating my titles, and I was trying to figure out, on Yana's card she has gold and she also has white. She doesn't have the green, she just has red, gold, and white. And so I have this really pretty kind of metallic pearlized gold acrylic paint. And so what I did is I painted one of my little light bulbs gold, and then I realized on the cards it didn't really look right. It just, I don't know, I didn't like the way that they were kind of turning out. So I took my glitter that I had out to use on another project, and I sprinkled that over top of the gold that I had painted, and they turned into this really pretty kind of frosted white. And that I think is beautiful. And you can see it there on the blue card, how I have now green, red, and white little Christmas lights. And here's how I did it. So I did try this without the gold paint one time, and it just wasn't opaque enough. So the gold paint really helped to kind of give a nice opaque background to that white glitter. So I went ahead and painted them all with the gold and then put the white glitter on top, and I think they turned out so pretty. But for the little, my little titles or my little sentiments here, I did paint one in just the gold and then one with the white glitter on it. And I used 2 different sentiments because I just like to mix it up a little bit, and it lets me use up my stamps. So this one says, "Get caught up in the spirit of Christmas," and it comes from that Inka Dinka Doo set that you've seen me used a few times with those cute little animals on it. And the other one says, "Merry Christmas," and it's 2 separate stamps actually, and it came from the same stamp set as the set of lights that I used. And that's it. These are my cards for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, you can leave them for me down below. And Daisie's links and Yana's links will also be down below. These were so much fun to make, so make sure you check out Daisie's card because you're going to love it. Until next time, happy scrapping. Bye.